Hi, welcome back. I'm Mr. Rip TV, and we're going to go over the patch notes for hotfix 1.0.13 for Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. The devs are putting out a lot of patches, seems like almost every day, and it's really exciting to see that they're actually working on the game as hard as they can. So let's have a look. Rejects, welcome to the second day in Tertium. And as you clamber out of your makeshift barracks and put on your boots to stem the tide of chaos, we're rolling out hotfix 1.0.13. This hotfix contains crash fixes and a much-needed fix to toughness. Patch notes, crash fixes. Fixed a crash that could happen when using one of Psyker's talents. Resolved a crash that could occur during login to the character's selection view. Fixed a crash that could occur when entering the headgear equipment view, when exiting Psychanium twice. A crash that could happen when players used a melee weapon special. Crash that was detected for users that were leaving the Psychanium. Fixed an access violation crash. Fixed other various unspecifiable crashes. Okay, good to see that they're working on this. I had two crashes that aren't mentioned here, but maybe they fall under this category. So the first one was when you're examining a weapon and you look at the advanced stats, if you clicked on the special attack and tried to look at the stats for that one, game would instantly crash. My friend got that one too. And the other one, which was actually kind of funny, was one of my friends left the party and it crashed the other three of us to desktop just instantly. Everyone crashed to desktop. That one was pretty good. So hopefully they fix those too, but I don't know, we'll see. The special attack one is more annoying in my case because I want to be able to actually read all the stats, you know? All right. Localization, improved localization. Clarified melee push description to be more accurate, indicating this action will be used when you have no weapon equipped. Okay. Cosmetics. Resolve some placeholder text that would be shown when inspecting cosmetics and weapon skins in the Commodore's vestures and when browsing the trinkets menu. Fix Psyker's Imperial Edition chestplate clipping through the jacket and causing the cosmetic to not match the marketing image. Okay. Bug fixes and tweaks. Fix an issue that caused toughness bleed through damage on toughness over 100. Toughness over 100 on any class should now function as expected. So they're not saying what expected means. I mean, first off, great that they're fixing this, and also happy that they changed chip damage to work differently now, where if you have 100 toughness, you cannot take chip damage, which means if you have 100 toughness and you get punched by a poxwalker, you won't take any health damage. I'm really liking that change. But they're not saying what it's supposed to do exactly if you're over 100. So I went through the patch notes, and this is 1.012. Here they said, we are aware that 100% toughness is not functioning as expected. We're currently investigating a fix so it works as intended. Okay, still not really explaining it. And then 1.0, 1.0.1, we'll just call it 10. 1.0, 10, and 1.0, 11. Says here, if toughness is above 100, veteran or anyone who stacked plus toughness curios, they'll still take damage. So I suppose if you piece together all of this, what's supposed to happen is that if you ever have more than 100 toughness, you cannot take chip damage in melee. I don't know if that applies to incoming damage that would be more than 100. Like if I have like 150 toughness and I get smacked for 200 damage by some crazy enemy that we haven't seen yet, maybe. Um, how is that going to work? Am I going to block all of it? Am I going to get some chip damage? Is it going to pull over? We don't know yet. So we'll have to look at that one. Uh, Next one, resolved an issue when using a controller in the settings menu where drop-down lists would not work as expected. Added stat tracking for some platform achievements. Okay, cool. Fix an issue that when an image in the Commodore's vestures failed to load, the entire store would fail to show. Okay. Increased experience in ordo dockets when finishing a mission on Malice, Heresy, and Damnation. That is a really nice quality of life change because the Malice is like, I mean, it's supposed to be the normal difficulty, right? But getting to that point can be kind of difficult. And once you're there and you can do it, it is kind of the most efficient way to grind up to level 30. So it's nice that they're increasing that even more, especially given that we don't have a shared inventory or economy between our different characters. Anything they can do to make the grind faster would be like very much appreciated. So that's a nice one. I'll have to look and see how much they actually increase this by, but always in favor of this, so long as it doesn't, completely kill all progression and you don't hit level 30 off of one mission, right? Like that would be kind of boring. But as it is, the grind is a little bit too long, and so hopefully this helps to address that. Fix an issue where users would get ray tracing assigned as on by default if the user's hardware does not support ray tracing. Improves performance for some users. Read notes from our tech priest. This patch note line has been edited for clarity. Network fix to handle proper disconnects more nicely in LAN support. Okay, I didn't even know there was LAN support, so that's awesome. This one has quite a big note on it. So this is just the top known issues that they're looking at right now. We'll come back to this, but let's look at this right now. So a word from our tech priests. We've seen a lot of comments about ray tracing being on by default for many of our users, and we've been investigating this issue for quite some time. We thought we had caught all cases of this in the release patch, but more issues have been found. We've managed to identify another issue that affects players on GPUs that do not support ray tracing at all. The issue is that we have faulty fallbacks for settings that are removed from the settings menu because they are not supported on the GPU, causing them to fall back to true instead of false. The patch for this will reset your settings and redetect optimal settings from the launcher. When the game is launched, we should set proper defaults for you that sets RT reflections enabled and RTX GI enabled to false. It is important to note that our user settings file contains multiple other ray tracing related settings. These settings are subsettings to RT reflections enabled and RTX GI enabled and control the behavior of those features. Changing those settings or the settings being true has no bad effect on performance whatsoever. In fact, some of those features being enabled is because they enable optimizations to the ray tracing features. Turning all of them off is not necessarily the most optimal state for performance should you want to enable ray tracing in the future. There is one exception to this, and it is a setting called RTX GI Scale. This setting, while controlling the quality of the dynamic RTX GI if RTX GI enabled equals true, will also control the quality of the baked RTX GI if the setting baked DDGI equals true, the setting called global illumination under advanced settings. When you set RTX GI scale to 0, that means that the baked RTX GI will also be off. While this will give you better frame rate and might be another reason for following the guides gives you better frame rate, or the guides that give you better frame rate, some levels that rely highly on this baked global illumination for their looks will become excessively dark as they will lack sufficient light contribution in heavily occluded areas. This is the reason why we decided to not support turning off global illumination from the settings menu, as it makes some levels almost unplayable due to the darkness for which we have no suitable fallback. So what they're talking about there is you can only, in-game, you can only set global illumination to low or high. You can't just turn it off. And this is the reason. It's because they used baked RTX lighting, or they used RTX lighting to create the level and then baked it in to effectively, like, as I understand it, like a light map. And so you're kind of always looking at the result of ray tracing, but you're not actually, your computer's not doing ray tracing actively. It's kind of looking at like a screenshot of ray tracing, if you will. I'm pretty sure that's how this like baked RTX GI works, but I'm not a game dev, so don't quote me. But anyway, you're of course always free to tweak your settings manually and play around with the different options we give you in there, but please do note that there's an intended logic to these settings where it is quite easy to set them up to conflict with each other. This is something that our settings menu and launcher detection takes into consideration. Any manual editing of the user setting config may result in settings ending up in a permanently broken state from which the settings menu might not be able to save you. In this case, using the reset button in the launcher is your best solution to the problem. That option will clear all of your render settings and start you over fresh. It's pretty cool that they put that in there, actually. Please be aware that manual editing of the user settings config, especially modifying read-write properties of that file, will make it very hard for us to diagnose, debug your problems, should you have them. So when reporting bugs related to settings, make sure to mention that if you edited them manually to avoid confusion. Make sure to mention that if you have edited them manually to avoid confusion. There's no shame in this. We just want to know this so that we can offer the proper assistance. That's super cool. I really like that they put that footnote in there. Like, do whatever you want with the settings, but like if you want our help, like this is kind of what we need from you, right? That's super cool. And I'm not even looking at this in the Steam browser. I'm going to rate that up once I get on my thing. All right. Top known issues. Ray tracing is currently disabled for AMD and Intel GPU users while investigating issues related to our support for these GPUs. We are working closely with our hardware partners to resolve this as soon as possible. Until then, ray tracing is turned off by default to avoid any issues in playing the game. Optimization performance. This is an area we continue to work on and we see issues with performance. We are continuing to monitor stability. Players should notice improvements with each subsequent patch. We currently don't support users on IPv6 only networks. This often means a player requires a VPN to play the game. The intention is to support IPv6 in the near future. Some players might experience a sudden crash to desktop with dialog pop-up. Switching between window mode and full screen can result in adjusted resolution and deadlock in some rare cases. They're working on delivering missing Twitch drops to a select few players. We hope to have this resolved within a week. Some issues may be missing their pre-order bonuses and beta tester helmets. We are working on resolve this issue, so you all receive appropriate cosmetics as expected. For more information, please visit this link. So all in all, a pretty cool patch. I am obviously pretty excited if they manage to fix this ray tracing issue, automatically turning on all the time. Although in my case, it was automatically turning on and I have an RTX 3070. So my hardware does support ray tracing, but it was automatically turning it on anyway. So I don't know if it fixes that bug. I'll have to take a look at it. I did use the config file workaround to turn it off. Well, I might have to redo it because I don't want to mess up that global illumination thing. But anyway, yeah, cool patch. Most excited about the toughness change in general. I want to see how that one works out. Where'd it go? There it is. This is the one I'm most excited about. So hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget I stream every weekday at Mistrip TV on Twitch, and I have other YouTube videos on Darktide. Check the playlist at the end of the video. Leave a comment if you have any questions or you thought anything else in the patch was interesting. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.